Oh, hey. After a brief hiatus, we're back with more episodes of Two Beers with Ritchey, the show where you've got questions and we've got answers. For all things Ritchey, anything bike, plus a little something more. So let's get to it.
Oh yeah!
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Two Beers with Ritchey, the show where you've got questions, we've got answers about all things Ritchey, anything bike, plus a little something more. Today's episode is brought to you by a beer known in the Peruvian Andes as an integral role in the rite of passage for youth into adulthood. It is said that consumption of this nectar of the gods has brought about superhuman powers in feats of strength and intelligence. The one drink that which I speak of is the one and only Miller High Life. Adulthood. All right, let's get to your questions. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. What steel does Ritchey use? Has it really been that long? We use Ritchey Logic tubing. Tom developed Ritchey Logic tubing for a very specific ride quality as well as for a very specific type of production. So the butting of the down tube is not the same at the head tube as it is at the bottom bracket. Also, the butting profile is specific to the process of TIG welding. So the butting will actually be a little bit shorter than that of a tube that would be used for, let's say, a lugged bike. So the combination of location-specific butting as well as the production method all leads to what Tom calls the secret sauce. My mustard yellow breakaway got chipped. What do I do to get touch-up paint? We don't sell touch-up paint on its own, but happy to give you the Pantone. So if you just email us, ritcheydesign@ritcheylogic.com, we can give you the Pantone. And then from there, you take that Pantone, you put it into Google, and then you write nail polish afterwards. You'll come up with a nail polish that'll match your Ritchey. It's probably the most economic way to find touch-up paint for your bike. Why do Ritcheys tend to have a low stack height? This is a great question. Ritcheys are born from race bikes. So the early Road Logics, our mountain bike frames, were all race bikes. So you tend to have a little bit lower stack on those types of bikes. What we're finding more and more, less people are racing our bikes. So the stack height is actually getting a little bit taller. Short answer to your question, it's because of the racing pedigree that is the Ritchey design philosophy. Will you ever do a breakaway mountain bike? We did do a breakaway mountain bike. It was a tie frame for 26. Gosh, that was a long time ago, maybe 15 years. I think the thing with doing a current breakaway mountain bike is the problem with the wheels because they're so big, and fitting all of that into a case would be kind of problematic. So I don't think we would do another mountain bike breakaway. Here's one. Is it Ritchey Logic or Ritchey Design? Damn it. All right. Just got a Canty Swiss Cross and I love it. Awesome. Your favorite Ritchey gravel bars to match? Whew, man, that's such a personal preference. On my Swiss Cross, I run our Neo Classic. I like the traditional bend. I like that it's kind of a minimal top section because I'm using it as mostly a race bike. And I like the transition to the hoods. On my Outback, I'm actually running our Butano bar. Some of the things I like about that are a little bit of flare on it. I like the generous top section of it, so it's somewhere to put my hands. It's nice and comfortable. And I also like the transition. You get a nice flat transition from the top section to the hood. It's just a really comfortable bar. So right now, Butano is my favorite. All right. Favorite terrain for cyclocross racing? Well, cyclocross on the mind. Living in NorCal, especially in the San Francisco Peninsula area, the races around here are in this really rich, loamy material, and it's great. You can really dig into turns. It makes for real challenging kind of power sections, and it seems to suit me. And it's really kind of my favorite. Any plans to ever make a dedicated single speed or track bike? Not at the moment, but if this is something that people are really looking for from Ritchey, shoot us some comments in the comment section below. Send us an email, ritcheydesign@ritcheylogic.com. And, if people are just hog wild about seeing a single speed coming from Ritchey, we'll look into it. Any plan to release frame set for wide tire clearance with rim brake? Oh, man. The tough thing about that is people just aren't buying rim brake bikes like they used to. It'd be fun to produce something like that. Just the problem is I don't know how well it would sell. If you can get your hands on the Swiss Cross or the Cross Breakaway, you can put a pretty big tire in there. Unfortunately, that's just kind of what you're resigned to at the moment. Is there any plan to have inner cable feature on Ritchey frame? No. One of the cool things about Ritchey's is the fact that we still do external cabling. It makes maintenance really easy. It makes diagnosing a problem with your shifting or brakes super simple. When you start running things internal, you get into some issues where, now you have to drill a hole in, let's say, the down tube, and it has to be within the budding profile, and then braze in a port. What actually adds weight, and you're changing the, intended budding for that frame. Now that once it's in there, how are you going to prevent it from rattling around? And it just keeps adding more weight to the bike. So for Ritchey, not something that we're going to look into. Has Tom taken to riding wide drop bars at 27.5 inch on Jobst rides? No. Kind of the wild thing about riding with Tom is no matter what bike you're on, he's going to be on his road breakaway with 23 mil slicks, running the same stream bars that he's been running for the past 15 years. And he's clearing it. I don't know. And it's probably the same style of bike that he's been riding for the last 50 years. So no, Tom hasn't adopted that. And I think it's kind of an example of run what you're most comfortable with. And for Tom, that's the bike. Okay. Any chance for new Ascent in a breakaway version? So when we were developing the new Ascent, it was going to be a breakaway from the get-go. Unfortunately, the pandemic happened, and it made the idea of selling a bike that travels not that great. So, we have the frame that we have. Would we make a breakaway version? Yeah, I think so. It's something that we've definitely entertained. But, it'll be at least a couple of years before that bike comes out. So, unfortunately, I would say don't hold your breath. When will we see a gravel breakaway? Dude, the Outback comes in breakaway. There's your gravel breakaway. Let's see. More of those are landing in April. So look for it in April. Any new mountain bike frames coming? Should we expect new carbon breakaway Outback? No. Man, it's probably one of my more favorite Ritcheys, but we probably won't come out with more of those. So, no, sorry. You're cracked on a ride. What's your gas station food haul? Good question. If I'm shelled on a ride, I'm tired of eating bars. Here's my go-to. My go-to is salt and vinegar chips. I like the crunch of it. I like the salt and the kind of electrolytes that you get from it. I'll get a bottle of Coke for the caffeine and sugars. And then the other thing that I found are those little terrible fruit pies. They're like 50 to 75 cents. Total gut bomb, but they're packed with calories, like 500 calories, and they're vegan. And if you're shelled on a hot summer day and you just need something, it's a massive amount of fuel that'll get you through the next 20 to 30 miles. So that's it. Plus, I'm in and out for less than $5. Not bad. What's Tom's favorite local road / trail to ride on? Yeah, so if you live in the peninsula of California, you may have seen Tom, and he's usually out on his tandem with Martha, or he's riding his road bike. I feel like the last few times I've ridden with him, we've always done dirt alpine. And something like asked him, hey, how often do you ride this? And he said, about 200 times a year, which maybe it's hyperbole, but if you do the math, dude's been living up there for the last 40 years. So that's a lot. And I would wager to say that might be his more favorite road. I'm 5'10" with longish arms and legs. Medium or large Swiss Cross / Outback. Golly, those are two different bikes. If we're talking just Outback, I would say go with the large. It rides better with a short stem. That's probably your best bet. If we're talking about Swiss Cross, it depends on what kind of rider you are. You could get away with the medium and running a longer stem, like a 110 or something. The only problem with that is if the stem gets too long, it kind of makes the handling of it a little weird. Swiss Cross, I found, operates best in that 90 to 100 range. So when in doubt, if you can, find a local bike fitter, and they should be able to find the exact size for you. But just ballparking, that's what I'd recommend. Cool. All right, well, that looks like it. Thanks for all of your questions. Always happy to answer them. If you have any more questions, shoot them to ritcheydesign at ritcheylogic.com. Mix them in the comments below. I read all of the comments and I try to get back to everyone. Follow us on Instagram at ritcheylogic. We also have a YouTube and Facebook channel. Until next time, we look forward to hearing from you. Keep the rubber side down.